Hello, it's Annalise with Music Notes, and I'm here with a video to show you how to fill up a mini album scrapbook with photos. So I have this book that I've made for a friend, and I asked her if I could make this video with her photos, and she said yes. So I'm really excited to have a hands-on example with real photos, a real project, a real keepsake for her to keep and reflect on with special memories. So I'm going to take you through a few different sections. What is a mini album? Lucy. Hello, this is Annalise with Music Notes. I'm here with a video today to show you how to fill up your mini album scrapbook with your own photos. So this will be a step-by-step tutorial explaining the different materials and techniques used to be able to fill up your mini album at home. So let me show you some examples. Here is a book that I had made for my cat, and it was really fun to be able to see these photos come to life instead of just living on the camera roll of my phone. So I printed these photos. It may have been Walgreens or some other website like that where you can kind of print and pick up, or they could ship you your photos instead. So there's a lot of different ways to display your photos. There might be some inserts that you can use, or it might be directly on the page of your album. So this was really fun. I had a lot of photos that I had posted on Instagram or just kept on my phone. And instead of just keeping them there, it was really fun to be able to print them out and have a physical book to look back on. Some of the tabs I may have left open, like this would be a good spot to do some journaling or writing. So I might be able to do that at some point soon. But for now, yeah, just a quick flip through of what a book can look like when it's full of photos. A smaller example is this little one, and it just has these little flaps and just little squares. So this was great for like little wallet size photos. So whether your album is big or small, it's a really good spot to print out your photos and have them live in a real physical home. I love having these on my shelves so I can look through them. When I do bazaars, I'll usually bring this one to show as a sample so people can see how it really comes to life when your photos are inside of it. All right, well, let's move on. We're going to talk about how to fill this album up. This is the example I'm going to go through. And the first thing you're going to want to do is decide what kind of photos you want inside and then print them. So there's a lot of different places you could do this, perhaps Walgreens or something like that. But the first step is to pick some photos and maybe group them by theme. So these two will go together on a page. This one's cute because it has tickets that come with it. So you can always add little mementos that you have to go inside. And here's some pumpkin patch photos. So I'll make sure to put those together in the book. Here's one from like another trip to a garden, and it also has the tickets. So besides the photos, which are great, you can always include little mementos like this. So really fun to have like a little map and the tickets. So we'll incorporate that into the book. Here's some other photos too. And I'm just kind of doing some organizing by clipping them together really quickly. Here's another set of photos and a little golf scorecard, really cute. And it's good to have a variety of sizes. So here are some little wallet photos that I can cut apart and just use one of, but it printed a whole sheet of them. So go through and I'll show you how to cut those with confidence. Just some more pictures. Really fun to have them printed out. When my friend had these printed, she was actually really excited to see what they looked like printed out. So it really is a joy to do this. So I really encourage you to take the time even though it can take a while. And some more really fun memories here. So let's move on to what kind of supplies you're going to need to do this. So you're going to probably want to trim your photos, and there's different tools you can use because maybe the book is kind of small and you need to actually crop it to be a little smaller. We'll kind of figure that out as we go. For me, I craft a lot, so I have this huge paper cutter. This is a Caterpillar Pro, but you definitely don't need a huge thing like this. I'm going to use it because I just craft a lot and that's what I use. You might have something smaller like this. It's really helpful to have a cutter like this because it has the blade that cuts it and it will cut it straight for you. But if you don't have that, that's okay. If you have a mat that you can cut through and a ruler and some kind of blade, that will also work really well. So I love having a grid, a ruler. This one actually has a metal edge to cut against. And then you can trim your photos with a straight edge here. Another option, if you don't have those, just a good old pair of scissors. So you can have different sizes and you can freehand if you feel comfortable doing that. So a lot of different options. And if you're a crafter as well, another thing might be die cuts. Perhaps you already have some square or circle or different shaped die cuts in your die cut machine. Then you could use that as well. So those are a lot of your basic options for cutting the photos because at times you're going to want to trim them. Now let's talk about adhesive. There's a lot of different kinds of adhesive you can use, from really basic to more advanced. And there's some basic glue sticks that can work fine. The thing about these though is that they might not be acid free, which means that it could yellow your photos. And I've also found over time, I used to use this a lot for card making, and some of my older cards are coming unglued because it actually wasn't strong enough to keep it attached. So maybe consider this or consider passing it for a better option. You could also use some liquid glue. If you're going to use liquid glue, I just caution you to use a small amount, just little tiny dots around the photo, because you don't want it to be so wet that it's going to warp your paper. So just really keep that in mind. If you're not sure about how well it's going to come out of the nozzle, you might just try squirting some onto like a piece of plastic or something on the side and just dabbing over glue with like a little tiny paintbrush or something, just so you can control how much glue is on the photo and you're not going to make it too wrinkly and wet, because that isn't very fun. You want it to look nice still. So some options that I would recommend more are something like a tape runner. So of course I mentioned I craft all the time, so I have this big mama tape glider, but there's also some small kinds as well. So here's one from Tombow. So it's just a little tape runner. It has the tape here and you just kind of glue it with that. These are good because they're dry and they're not going to make anything wrinkly and wet. And I find that they're usually acid free, so they work really well to keep your papers and photos in a good condition. Similarly, you might have products like glue dots. These are some older brand, but they're actually advertised for photos. But these are just little dots of glue that are also dry, kind of like this. So a little can go a long way. They're usually pretty strong and safe for your photos. Another option you might like is actually some photo corners. These are clear, but they come in also designs as well, different colors. So you can just use these little photo corners here's a couple left on this. You can use these photo corners to go on the corners of your photos. This is nice because you can actually swap out your photos. It's not permanent. So you might like an option like that if you want to change things up more often. There's also some other creative ways that you can attach your photos. You might choose to staple them on. That could be an option at times. So I have my mini stapler in case I want to use that. With the photo corners, I also wanted to mention you could make your own. So we're going to talk about what that can be like. And another creative way is with washi tape. So I have some washi tape here that we can use as well. And then another kind of tape, kind of like these guys, but it's just on a roll, is kind of score tape, which is also really strong. So those are kind of our basic materials and what you're going to need to fill up your mini album. So the next step is to plan the layout. For planning a layout, there's a lot of different ways that you can choose to do this. So definitely do what feels right for you. But I'm just going to go through and consider all of the little inserts I have, all the surface area of this mini album, so I can plan kind of where to put some photos in. So this book has 3 pages. They all have an insert that comes out, so there's even more room for the photos. Some of them have cut aparts, but there's like a little space so the photo can go behind it, which is really helpful and gives more flexibility. And I'm going to consider the size of my photos. So photos I want to keep large, I want to put on a bigger page like this. Now my album here is about 6 by 6. It's just a little bit more than that. So I am definitely going to need to trim these 4 by 6 photos so they fit better. So the first thing I like to do when filling out is, before I cut and glue or anything like that, is just roughly plan where I want the photos to go. So I'll talk through the first few pages, and then after that I'm just going to do it sped up so you can just see the process without having to take all the time that I'm going to take. But let's go through one together. So looking at these photos, I just really love these pumpkin patch ones. So I think it'd be cute to put towards the beginning and really set the tone that this is really a fall inspired album. So let's kind of figure out how to use some of these photos on this first spread. All right, so I've gone through and kind of made some decisions about how I want these photos laid out. So I thought it'd be fun to put one or both of these on this little bookmark shape. I'm going to trim this one down to fit on here. This one's also going to fit in the pocket, trim that a little bit. This guy I'm going to leave blank. Up here, I'm going to trim this one down to fit this flap. And then I'm going to keep this guy right here. And, well, I might even trade these. There's still time to make some changes, so I might actually move this one in here and put that out front. Oh, changing my mind again. I think I'll put this guy here. Lots of different ways. You know, it's nice because you can play around with it and decide what you like, trade things around. Yeah, I think I like that better. So that way when this is all closed up, you'll see a little bit of the pictures, and that's fine. So let's go ahead, and before I move on to other pages, I'm just going to get this one done first, and I might speed through and slow down at times to show you these other spots, but let's get going on this part. So for this one, what's really going to be helpful is a ruler. My insert is 4 inches by just a little under 5. So I'm going to want to trim my photo to be slightly smaller than that. So what you're going to want to decide is how much of a border do you want. I'm going to want just a little bit of border so you can see some of the checkers. And I will go ahead and be bold and do some trimming. So move my paper trimmer here. And as I crop my photos, there's a couple considerations. You can be as picky or not as you want. let me see if I can focus. There we go. So I'm going to be a little picky and trim off this little side because I think it just doesn't work quite as well. Sorry about the focus. And so I'm going to cut some of this and that will be fine. I could even cut some of his feet off and that will be fine too, which is why I picked this photo to go with this insert, because I knew that I could cut, you know, kind of down to here. So let's cut the side first, keeping in mind, I'm just going to go to 3 3/4, trim that off. I'm going to trim down. This actually has a light, so sometimes it helps you to see, but probably not through a photo. I want to trim, let's be conservative first. I'll just chop here first and see. Yeah, I think I like that. So let me go ahead and I'll trim some of that off so we don't see the sky. And from here, you can kind of play with how much you want to show. I'm going to need to cut some more. I'm actually going to cut more of the ground off. So this can be super precise or it can be a little more loosey-goosey depending on your style and what you feel like doing. So I'm actually going to cut a little more off the top. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Really fun. So that will be ready to glue in a little bit. Let's move on to another one just so you can see how it's done. We're going to trim this one. So this has a little thing that will kind of peek out. And I'm just going to trim this one more on this side and probably off the bottom. So I just trimmed a little bit off. Looks like I'm going to need to go a little more. I like these little pumpkins on the side, so I'm going to keep trimming off at the right. Cute. Yeah, I really like how that one's looking too. I wish it was a little more symmetrical because this is glued down, so I'm just going to trim a little more. And again, you can be as picky or not as you want. I'm going to be pretty precise because I'm making it for my friend and I just really want it to be perfect for her. But don't let perfection get in the way of just getting this project done because you're going to love it when it's all done. Awesome. I think that's great. Let's do some more. For this guy, I think I'll trim a little more on the bottom because I like having the sky up top. So a lot of times I'll just start by cutting 1/4 of an inch off or 1/2 of an inch in this case. I need to cut a little more. So you can just keep playing with it before you glue it down. And I'm happy with how that looks. On this side, I'm gonna want to make sure I don't cut the head off, obviously. So I'm gonna need to trim more from the bottom. So just really keep in mind what's important in your photos, and it's okay to crop a lot too. You can really kind of keep the focus on what's important in the photo. I want a little more of a border, so I'll trim some more. And then I could decide, do I want to trim any off the sides? And actually I kind of like the way it is. So I'll keep it as wide as it is. And I can kind of decide where do I want this on my page. Okay, so this one's done. Now let's take a look at the flap in the actual book itself. So this flap, I'm going to measure, it's 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to need to trim my photo to be smaller than that. And I can also consider if I want to cover these up or if I'm just going to try to tuck them behind. So let's try to tuck it behind. I'm going to just crop a little bit off the sides. Kind of more like that, yeah. And then I don't want to cut the head. I want to make sure I'm keeping that. Although sometimes you can cut a little bit off. If you're not sure what to do, it's helpful to kind of cover it up and see if you like that composition before you make the change. So I cut just a small amount, and I want this to be shorter. Great, so I'm not gonna mind that this is covering the So Scary. I think it's all right, because I want to keep the photo that size. Now for this one, I don't have to do too much, so we'll just kind of clean it up a little bit on the bottom. And great, that will be just fine the way it is. So now that we've done all the cutting of this, let's try different ways of gluing. So I'm just going to kind of demonstrate different ways to glue in your photos. And let's start with the inserts. So of course, the simple way, I showed you all the different adhesives that you can try. My favorite is just using a tape runner. So let's start with that. So I got my tape. I'm just gonna go around the border of the photos like that, and then I'll just put like a little small amount on the center. Make sure that you have it positioned the way you want it. I think I like the Chills and Thrills down. So go ahead. What's nice is you can kind of play with it a little bit before you press it down. And then I don't like to get too many fingerprints on, so when I can, I just turn it over and press. Nice, one down, and that can fit in the pocket. So for this one, let me show you a different way. So I'm going to use these little corners. They're going to be hard to see on camera, but it's basically a strip of this adhesive. And you peel it off. It's on this little blue thing. And you can just put it all around the corners of your photos. Let me just lay it down first. So then you peel off that little paper. And position it where you want it. And there we go. I'm going to do the same thing upside down. And it's in. So you'll see it does have a little bit of the empty space because it was only on the corners and the center, which is why I actually prefer to use the tape runner. Now again, instead you could use some liquid glue. So let me demo that for you as well. So for liquid glue, I'll do it on this photo. And this is some neutral pH paper glue. I really like this because I think it's a good quality and it's not going to yellow your photos. And I'm going to do tiny little dots. I'm not even going to do a line. I'm just going to do a bunch of small dots because I don't want too much liquid to build up. So lots of tiny, tiny little dots. Just like that. The nice thing about liquid glue is you can kind of shift it around to get the perfect position. So let's do that. Again, let me just flip it over. Press it down. And it looks great. All right, so for this one, I think it'd be fun to do something kind of different. Let's use some of the washi tape. So the nice thing about this spot is that it kind of has a little pocket. This is glued down on the corner, so it kind of stays where it is. And I'm going to actually, instead of using any glue, I have some cute washi tape that matches Trick or Treat. And I'm just gonna tear a piece here. Let me get another piece too. I want to make it really cute. These ones have some bats on it. So this one I'm going to do a little longer and put it against this. And I'm going to kind of add this as an accent up and down like that. Super cute. Okay, this is fun. I'm going to get more washi tape. All right, I have a couple more Halloween ones that are just too cute to pass up. So let me just grab a little more of the spider web. This technique is working really well on this photo because it has a lot of space on the side where there's nothing really important. It's just the road. So this actually is pretty cute. And I might even do another Trick or Treat and kind of overlap it like that. Cute. And it's probably not necessary, but let's add more for fun. I'm just going to secure that top a little bit more. And the fun thing about washi tape for me is that I don't feel like it needs to be perfect. I don't need to like cut the edges perfectly. I think it's really cute with a torn edge look. So don't be afraid to kind of do something fun like this. And it's a great way to use your washi tape if you're like me and have way too much. All right. So this insert is done and it can go in the book. And now I just need to glue these guys in. So let's try some new techniques. I would really like to use some photo corners on this one. So I'm actually going to show you a couple different ways. So let's do the clear one on top. With the photo corners, you can use one on each corner, but again, this one kind of is holding it in place. So I'm just going to slide it, have my photo exactly where I want it, put my photo corner in, and then I can press down. And I like to do opposite corners first because it helps me have a perfect placement. Let's do it again. Sliding in that photo corner, pressing down. And I'm going to skip this corner and do a third one up here. Here we go. Great. And then for this one, I'm going to do some DIY photo corners. So I showed you a couple. These are really easy to make and they are really cute. You could do just a plain paper. You could do white. I would just recommend it be a little thicker, like a cardstock, rather than just like copy paper. So what you're going to want to do is cut some paper strips. It doesn't really matter how long they are, but I would make it at least 4 inches or something. So these are 5 and they're just a 1/2 inch thick. So you can kind of play with the thickness and they could be smaller, but I think it's fine. This size will be great. So what I'm going to do is take a strip of paper. I'm going to fold it towards the middle, one end down perpendicular. So make sure it's perpendicular, fold it really nicely with a good crease, and we have a piece like this. On the other side, fold it to match. So like this, make a nice crease, and you have a little triangle here that your photo can go underneath, and these flaps, which will help you to glue it onto the actual page. So let's make one more. I'm going to take this Try to focus a little. I don't know if it will. There we go. Fold it down. And take this and fold it to meet. And you're going to want these to be as close together as possible. And when you do this, you should have a nice 90-degree angle, right triangle for the corner. So I'm going to make these look a little neater. It shouldn't matter because your photo's covering it, but I'm just going to trim the ends off. So it's about 1 inch thick, 1 inch wide. It doesn't have to be perfect because your photo will be covering it, but I like to have enough room to glue. So I got my 4 photo corners, and what we're going to do is put some adhesive. I'm going to do the little Tombow tape runner this time, and just put some adhesive on it. Just cover the whole back side like this, and make sure you get that little tiny corner. And position your photo where you want it on the page, and just again slide this corner underneath and press it down. Let's do it again. Got my adhesive on the back, the triangles on the front. I like to do opposite corners, but you don't have to. And just position it where you want it, press it down. So these are great because it's super cheap. You probably have cardstock at home that you can use. You don't have to go and buy any specialty products. And if you use this technique for your whole album, it would be pretty cool. It's just one option out of all those different adhesives we talked about. All right, great. Got that done. Now here's the thing. I have one more thing left. I think what I'm going to do actually is just glue one of these on. I can kind of decide what side do I like better. I think it looks better with this more solid background. So I'm just going to glue this one in. It has a little tattered edge. So I'm going to glue this here. Oh, you know what would have been better is if I stapled it. We'll show that off later. It would have been really cute to just do a little staple on this. So let's see, I could do it straight or I could do it a little crooked. I think it'd be more fun, a little crooked. And then the other ticket, I'm just going to keep loose. So let's see how this page turned out. Put everything away in the pockets. Imagine you have this book, you've just opened it, and you got your little tickets, you got your little inserts. Really love having these pictures together. I think it's super cute. Then you open this up. And this comes out. So cute. Oh my gosh, I love how this is turning out. I'm really excited to show my friend. I still have a lot of pages to go, but this was really good progress. This took me about a half hour to do. So it can be kind of a lengthy process, but I find it to be really therapeutic. If you don't particularly love the process, you can just let me know. If you're local, maybe we could work something out and I could do this as a service for you, but it's really easy enough that you can do yourself. It might take some time, but with a pre-made scrapbook like this, it's going to be faster than if you had done all the scrapbooking yourself as well. So I hope that you can really enjoy filling up your album in this way. So I'm going to go through, kind of speed up the process, just filling out the rest of this album, and also show you what the finished product looks like at the very end. Okay, so for this part, I'm going to show you a little tip when you're cutting something out with an X-acto knife. So I have these little tiny photos that I want to cut out. I just need one. And I could use my paper trimmer, but it might be kind of hard to see where the line is. So today I'm going to opt for the X-acto knife and a ruler. So go ahead and line up your ruler exactly where you want it to be. Give it a trim with your blade. And make sure you're doing it on a cutting surface. I'm going to do a second pass. Oh, there we go. So make sure you're cutting on a cutting surface. And I have a perfect edge there. I'm going to do the same thing with the side. There we go. So smaller photos would probably be best for mini albums because, as you can see as I go through, some of the larger photos can be just a little trickier. You can still use them, and I found some creative ways to make them work, which I'll talk about later in the video. But just a quick little intermission to give you that tip. All right, here's another tip. So for cropping your photos, I have this paper here and I can see that I think I can fit their faces on it. I'm gonna have to do some serious cropping. But the way to do this is to measure the space you want to occupy. So this is going to be about probably 4 by 3 to get that kind of border on it. So I'm just going to put my ruler up and see where does 4 inches lie around here. And yeah, I think I should be able to capture their faces just fine. So what can help me with that is just putting a little pencil mark or a pen mark. So I'm just going to put a little mark here, and let's go ahead and trim on that line. And from that line, I'm going to cut 4 inches. There we go. And now let's do the 3 inches. So I'm going to need to cut just a little bit off the top of the head. Let me just start with this first, because I want the 3 inches to be under her chin. So I will mark here and cut that part first. And then let's see what 3 inches looks like. There we go. And I'm gonna cut it just ever so slightly so we can see a little more of those dots, and I have a little margin for that. There we go. So you can always crop your photos. I know sometimes it can feel scary, but a lot of times when people print photos, they might have some duplicates. So if you mess up, it's okay. You can just try again. But actually, I think it looks really cute this way. So I'm going to keep going and gluing. I'm on the last page, almost done. So I have gone through and put photos in this book, and I actually have 2 photos left that she gave me. So I'm going to see if I can squeeze these in anywhere else. Let's see. I think what I might do is make some extra inserts to put these in, because I'm kind of looking around and I don't really know if I have the best spot. One thing I could do is just cover up this paper and put this on here. I could give that a try. But, you know, since I have 2, I think I'm just going to make another insert. So you saw me do this sped up, but let's just kind of slow it down. I have some cardstock, and it's just a 60-pound cardstock that I use for crafting. You might have some of this at home, or you might want to go grab some, because it can be really useful for just adding a few extra inserts. And so what I'm going to do, these photos are about the same composition. I think I'm going to crop the bottom of this just slightly to get out that little crosswalk sign. So let's just trim that down. Let's see. Yeah, just a 1/4 of an inch off. I'm going to leave the rest of it here. And I'm just going to mirror that here, cut a 1/4 of an inch off the bottom. Great. So this is now 4 by 5 3/4. So I'm going to cut this to 4 1/4 by 5. Oh, sorry, 4 1/4 by 6. Good thing I thought of that before I chopped it. So what I wanted was to make it a 1/4 of an inch bigger than my photo. So it has just this simple black frame around it. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue it onto this insert. and centering it. Again, I like to flip it over. Now I'm going to glue this one to the back of it. And center it here. And I'm just going to use this paper to kind of help smoosh it down. Try not to smudge it too terribly much. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this in this very back pocket. That's why I like making a lot of pockets on my books, so you can put a lot of extra goodies inside. And now I think it's time for the full reveal. Let's take a look how it turned out. I'm so excited. So the front page we did together. Lots of goodies inside. So cute. I love a good black and white photo. One great thing to do with your album, depending on what kind of mood you want, is try printing black and white photos. Sometimes it's cheaper, which is kind of a bonus, but I think it looks super classy and works really well with really colorful papers. So give it a try with black and white. Here's the little tickets again, super cute. Here are these two. Now the colors work really well for this because this is a Halloween album, because this couple really loves Halloween and fall time. So it's actually a really great album for them. And their colors kind of match because luckily they have all these awesome pumpkin colors and all that good stuff throughout the album. So this is a nice pocket that fits a lot of goodies. Really fun to just like arrange things in the pocket and make it look cute. And here this flap comes up. This one comes out. This is a good little spot. Maybe they could write a little story or a memory about the time they visited this pumpkin patch. This insert comes out. Some more fun pumpkin patch photos. Remember we did this with the washi tape. Now let's go to the next page. So this one, I got a little creative here. So there's a lot of pockets, but on the actual page itself, the pocket is right here. On the page, I just put down a photo. So it was a nice big spot for a photo. And I don't really mind covering up all this pattern paper because there's plenty of patterns, as you can see. So don't be afraid to cover some things up with your photos. It still looks awesome. It's a cute little spiderweb border. Here's a nice little tag. They could write some fun things here. I just kept these guys loose. Here's another insert that I created with just black cardstock. Super simple, but really effective in getting more photos in your album. So if you want more photos than there's space available, go ahead and make some little inserts like this. Super easy, really showcases your photo. It's just a simple, you know, you could use black or white or a corresponding color. And then of course their little guide from that garden. And all of that can just tuck inside here. Kind of put these at an angle. And then this side is also packed with goodies. Another little tag that they could write on. I think this one turned out really cute with the golfing. And again, on this page, I just glued down a photo again. So it kind of goes a little bit behind the pocket. Great spot for a big photo. And there we go. So another insert. So let's pull this out. On this one, I layered two photos on top of each other. I used a couple photo corners to, whenever I overlap the photos, it doesn't matter a whole lot, but I just felt that would be secure and not have too much glue. And then just kind of trim them, put them together, and I think it looks pretty cute. On the back side, nice and simple. And actually, I want to add a little extra goodies to this. So I'm just going to take some of my washi tape that I had and let's just add a little more just for fun. So I'm going to take a nice big piece of spiderweb. Let's add another trick or treat. I just kind of want to carry that motif over and add just a tiny bit of decoration. Didn't really take much. Super cute. All right, let's put this inside. All right, next page. This one was a little tricky because my embellishment was rather large for the photo I wanted to use, but I think it worked out okay. And this opens out. I put these two hiking photos together with the trees, a little spot where they can write the date or a memory about this. And I also tucked one of those smaller wallet photos with some photo corners as well. These little pieces flip out. I really cropped this rose picture and it turned out great. Like the photo, you know, of course was 4x6. It was pretty big and it was beautiful. I was like, oh, do I want to cut this? But I'm actually really glad that I did because you can't really tell how big that photo was originally. And it still really shows off this like beautiful bouquet that holds a special memory for them. I also put another wallet photo here and I added another insert where it's just black and I just left it loose because the way this album is designed is it has some magnets, so it kind of helps to hold things together. It's not going to go anywhere, so that's why I just left it loose in here instead of in a pocket. But just another little insert. Here's another opportunity to use those do-it-yourself photo corners. I think it's really cute. I realized partway through I was going to put this photo somewhere else, and I thought, oh, these ones actually go together. They're from the same photo shoot, so I wanted to keep them together. And when I found this one, I thought it worked out really well because it kind of mimics the hiking theme from earlier. We'll open this one. Let's see, this one is just really cute with the pumpkins in the back. Added another smaller photo that was also outdoorsy, so it kind of matched the vibe even though it's from a different time. And this fun photo on the back kind of tucked a little bit behind this piece. So you can see how these photos were cropped. I wasn't able to keep any full size 4x6s just because this album is just about 6 inches. So don't be afraid to crop your photos. It can turn out really cute, even if you cut some pieces out. Here's the last page. These open up. There's a magnet that keeps it closed. And I thought this was such a fun gingerbread. I ended up just covering up some of the decoration I had because I decided I'd rather have this full photo in than put it somewhere else. Then we have the star photo here, and then this one I cropped quite a bit to fit, and it still worked out really great. Has all the important information in it, which is the cake and the little coffee cup. So cut out all the rest and it turned out just fine. And for this last piece, got a little 4x3 photo. Here's another one. Super cute. And this one as well. And I think this one needs a little extra something too. So let's add maybe a little more spider webs just for fun. I just feel like it needs a little extra something. And maybe another trick or treat right there. Just a little something to anchor that corner. And then here's that last insert we made. Super cute. And yeah, just fill out the pockets. And this memory album is ready to go. I'm so excited to give this back to my friend so they can really enjoy it. Here's a cute little spot where I would recommend that they write maybe a little something about this album, or maybe the year that it took place. All these photos took place within 1 year. So it's a really cute little way to have a time capsule keepsake. So there's other albums I have available on my Etsy shop, so I figured I'd just show a couple just so you can get an idea. These ones are quite a bit bigger actually, so this one's closer to 8x8. This one is, I don't know, about 6 by 8 or something. Yeah, it looks like it. So I have different sizes available, but I put some of my bigger ones on Etsy. So there's a lot of space for huge photos. I have full videos that kind of walk through these as well. So if you want some more inspiration or some ideas, go ahead and take a look and see what you can find. There's some really good options for your own keepsakes and memories. And if you already have a mini album, then I just really encourage you to take some time and add some photos. I know it takes a little bit of time. Some of this album or some of this video was sped up, of course, but I'm also talking during it and kind of chatting through it. So if you really kind of focus, it could take you, I don't know, an hour or more, kind of depending on how you work and how comfortable you are. Again, if you're interested in a service where I do this for you, just let me know and maybe we can work something out. But in the end, I think it's just really precious to have your printed photos. I know for me, I have a scrapbook of my wedding and we like to pull it out during the anniversary. So it's always fun to look through things like that. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you got some great tips and have a great day.